Hello, my name is Hillary Richardson, and this workshop is going to be introducing you to how to make research more efficient using a software, an application called Zotero. In the workshop today, we will talk about what is Zotero. I'm going to show you how to install and download Zotero. It is very quick and simple. I'll show you how to add references or resources to your library, and then how to generate citations from those things that you add to the library. Zotero is basically a tool that you can use to collect, organize, cite, and share your research resources. So basically, you keep all of the things that you need for a research project, a research paper, a lit review, et cetera, in one place. You can organize those things into an order that makes sense. You can annotate them, so you can take notes, you can highlight things within them. You can use Zotero. This is the best way to use Zotero, is to cite with it. And you can also share your sources if you're researching on a group project or on a team. So to download Zotero, you go to zotero.org, and that's where we're going to go right now. Let me head to that place. And simple enough, you click download. If you are on Chrome, Chrome will pop up. If you are using a Mac, it will say Zotero for Mac. It detects what your device is and what browser you're on. But either way, you'll need to download two things: the standalone application itself and the browser connector. So you can see I've already installed the browser connector. It's up here. It's going to change in just a minute, and I'll explain more about that in a second. And I also have already downloaded the standalone. These do not take very long to download, maybe a couple of minutes max. You don't have to restart anything. You don't have to do anything over. It's very simple. And you can use it with Firefox. You can use it with Safari. You can use it with I don't know that Internet Explorer has one. That's the only one. It's Firefox, Chrome, and Safari. Those are the most popular ones anyway. And I recommend using at least one of those anyway. Then I recommend that you register for an online account. This is going to let you use Zotero anywhere that you are, whether you're on your computer or a computer in the library or wherever you are. It'll allow you to have access to the things in your library regardless of your location. And to do that, on the web page, there is a place that says log in or register, and that's all you would need to do. Registering is just as simple a process as downloading. I'm going to log in using my username and password so you can see what it looks like. I mean, it will look similar to the standalone application itself. In fact, while that's logging in, I'm going to go to Zotero. Once you download Zotero, it will be blank, but I have used Zotero for a long time, and it has lots of things in it. And so once you've started to download lots of resources, you'll see your library here fills up. These are all of the resources that I have in this one folder. And I'll kind of go over the parts of Zotero quickly too. This is how you organize the sources in your library. You put them in folders. You can put them in separate libraries that you can create here. I have different research projects that I've worked on. I also have a Zotero workshop folder, which I will use in a minute. And you can also see that I've got some group libraries that I'm a part of. These are people who I've never met, but we share research resources. Some I have met and just wanted to share some resources with them. So there's the potential to share things with people as well. Below here are some tags that are in these resources in this library, and these you can use to sort of get a big picture look of what's in your library. Personally, I don't use these very often, but they can be helpful depending on what your project is. This is, like I said, the place where you can see everything in your folder. There are lots of different ways to view these. You can use the title, the creator. There are other features that you can view here. If having the publisher is important to your research or the date, then include those by all means. But this is the default of what shows up in your library. Let me go to a folder with a lot of things. And this over here is the viewing pane. This has in it the potential to see not only the metadata of the article or resource, and by metadata I mean all of the things that you would put in a citation, like the title, the authors, the journal title, and you can see that this journal title is in all caps, like some databases have, but I may or may not need to change that depending on my style. It has all of this information that you would need for the citation. And in addition, if I click on this little caret, it also has the PDF of the article itself. So I've stored the PDF here with its metadata. And in this pane, I can make notes about the PDF if I wanted to write quotes or if I wanted to make summary notes for my own writing. In fact, let me find one that I have cited or that I have made notes on so you can see what that looks like. Let's see. There we go. So in this website that I wanted to cite, I wrote quotes that were interesting to me. I even highlighted the extra interesting ones, and I wrote some of my own notes in here as well. So it's a good place to annotate resources, make notes, summarize, highlight, etc., etc. All right, let me get back to this PowerPoint so we can see what's next. I've shown you everything. Oh, I forgot to show you the quick menu also, which you will use up here frequently. Of course, there's the create a new folder, create a new library. There's also add a new item, and you can do this either manually with this button, or if you have something like a DOI, an ISBN, a PubMed resource, and you have that number, that long string of numbers, you can add the whole resource in this way. You can add notes to things this way, and you can add attachments to things. These are all sort of quick menu options, but you can do these things in other places as well, and I'll show you those in a minute. If I were just, if I had a large library such as this and I wanted to look for something, I could just single things out with the search bar as well. So I knew I wanted this article and I wanted to look it up. Here would be, a quick way to do that. Okay, so those are the features of Zotero. Zotero also has a tab in Word, and this is one of the most important things because this lets you type your paper and cite while you write. And I believe that's a trademarked phrase from a different software, so don't tell on me. But I'll just show you kind of what it looks like. So here's my Word document, and let's say I wanted to cite this article. The quickest way to show you that is just to drag and drop it into Word. And you can see here that it has cited my resource here. Now I have to change a little bit of the formatting, but for the most part, it's got it in APA, I believe, I think, and that's what I have it programmed to be. In Zotero, in the Word library, you can click on document preferences and change that style. Okay, it was Chicago, my bad. You can change it to APA 6th edition. You can change it to MLA 7th or 8th edition. If you don't see a style that you're using, like I don't think Turabian is in here, but you can click on Manage Styles and look for Turabian here. And that's how you would add that style. So it has thousands of citation styles. So if you're writing for a particular journal and you know that you need, like if you're writing for Nature, let's say you're writing for Nature, you can use that journal style citation. It has thousands of these. These are the most common, though, that are used. So this isn't really how we write, right? We don't really just click and drag things into our document. We usually start them in the document, and we write and we go into the citations that way. So let's go demonstrate that. And before we do that, I just want to make sure I'm moving in the right pace. Oh, and if you have a Mac computer, this will look a little bit different, but all of the features are still there. And this would be a good time to send me an email or hit us up on chat if you have a question about a feature on a Mac that we do not have, that I'm not showing you right now, because clearly I am on a PC, and so most of the features I'm showing you are done on a PC. So let me go back into the Word document, and I'm going to kind of show you the different ways that you can add things to your library before we cite into them. So I spoke too soon. I am going to go to our library website and show you the different ways to add items. So let's say you're doing some research on penguins, and you start here. You will see this little icon is my Zotero icon over here. It will recognize that there are things on this page. There are several things on this page that I can save at once because it's turned into a little folder. And so let's say, let me change these resources a little bit. Let's just do journal articles. So you see how these are full text. The ones that have full text are at the top. There are some that don't, though. So let's save a few of these all at once, because sometimes we want to save lots of things at the same time. I'm going to save 4 things. And once I click on the OK button, it'll show you that it's saving these to the folder that I have open. And things that have a PDF attached will also be there as well. And because I have it pulled up to this folder, it's automatically going there, but I can change that here. Let's see if I did that in time. There we go. So those are the things I just added. And the ones that had full text available, here is that full text. And it has downloaded that as well. Now let's say you had to interlibrary loan a couple of things, and you got the file separately from the, let's see, you got the file separately from the record itself. So let's open a folder here. And I have 2 articles here. And I have 2 articles because one article is what we call, the text is recognized. So the text is OCR, optical character recognition. And so this PDF recognizes that this is an article with text. The other article is not OCR'd. It is a picture, basically, with words on the page. And so you can see that text is not recognized. And sometimes we get articles one way, and sometimes we get them the other way. But I'm showing you this because when the text is recognized, what will happen is when you pull the PDF over, and if I dropped it right here, it would be its own record, but I could also add it to a record that's already been created. When you drop the PDF in by itself, it will see that see how the file name has changed, and this became something. It read the article and it collected parts of the article that were like the title and the authors, etc. It collected all that information and automatically turned a PDF file that I named Little Albert article, and it changed it to the author, the title, the date, and it gave it this record right here. So all this information was plopped in for me. However, this article was the picture that didn't have the text recognized. If I do this, it will simply create a link right here, and it won't give me all of this information. that I need to cite it later. So what you would do in this case is right-click the item. You could try to retrieve the metadata, but because I know that it doesn't have OCR text because it was an image, it's not going to work. Sometimes that is a good trick. But what we would do is click Create Parent Item. And so now I could add like the author. I could add a title, etc., etc. I don't remember what the title is, to be honest. So we're just going to type something in. And you would do this for all of the information that you would need. You wouldn't have to do it for like location and archive, etc. You could just do it for the publisher, the date, and the page numbers if you wanted to. This wouldn't have to be completely filled out. The type of document that it is a journal article, so you can change it to that, and you'll notice that different pieces of information become available. So consider that also. There are all sorts of entries possible. You could cite a map, you could cite an email, etc. So think about that as well. So those are the ways that you add things. Another way would be, let's go back to my list and I'll see if I can find, here's a PubMed ID. If you had this in, you knew, like maybe you had a paper copy of something. Sometimes we just have paper copies of articles, but you wanted to add it to your list. You could copy that number and you could add it with that magic wand I showed you earlier. And it adds it here. The same goes for books with ISBNs or other articles that have a DOI, like this one here. So those are the ways that you add things. One last way that you can add something is to create it from scratch. Say you're citing an archival reference or something that doesn't live online or that doesn't even have all of the information. You can create a new reference here just by clicking on that button. When you get errors in an import like we had with that earlier thing, it's a good idea to change them now. I'm not seeing any at the moment, but if you notice that like somebody's name was just the initial, but in the article it showed up as the full first name, or sometimes, like I said earlier, the journal title is in all caps, that's something that you could change. Or if the numbers don't come out right, which is often, oh look, fall is spelled wrong. There we go. It's a good idea to change that when you import it. So let's say we've collected all the things that we need for our research project and we're ready to start writing, and we pull up in our document and we go, this is my paper. I have something to say about XYZ. And don't write like this, of course, but here's where you get to the good part, right? You say, according to most recent publications about XYZ, and then you quote something, right? You've collected quotes, you've collected summaries, and now you're ready to cite. What the great thing about Zotero is if you click Add Citation, and we want it to be, let's say, APA 6th edition. And we can look up, let's see, oh, that's not what I meant to type. One of those things that we just added, it gives you the citation here. Now, I didn't say the author in the signal phrase up here, but if I had, I could click this and click Suppress Author. And because I did use an actual quote, I would need to put the page numbers in. So we could say 22. And hit Enter, and then hit Enter one more time. And you can see there's the citation as it ought to be in APA style here. And let's say we did a summary. Another piece of information from XYZ author. And so let's say I did cite the author in the sentence. I would be ready to add a citation here as well. And I could take out D'Angelo and Made. And I didn't use any quotes. I summarized it. So let's say I don't include a page number either. Enter again. So that's what that looks like. I'm going to add a couple more just so you can see different kinds of citations here and what they look like, because once you've added several citations, one more, you're ready to build your bibliography. These are from all over the place, but you'll see here that there are lots of, I've got 4 citations now. Let's say this is my paper. It's a great paper, right? A+ for sure. And I'm ready to add my bibliography. I'm going to start a new page. I'm going to put my references up here. And of course, this should be, lots of things are wrong with this. The margins, just ignore all that. But once you're ready, you go back to your Zotero tab and you just click Add Bibliography. And it cites all of those things. It's already double spaced for me because it knows better than I do. But it cites all those things that I cited in the text already. And you'll see that when I click on things, they're gray, because what happens is it populates all of these different fields with information from my sources here. All of this information is plopped into this here, this bibliography. So if I wanted to change something, if I knew something wasn't right and I needed to change something, what I would do is I would go back to the reference itself. Let's do this one. And I'll show you what I mean. Like if I wanted to say that it was in preventative medicine, not reports, but let's say that it got that wrong. Once I made a change, and if I save the document and I leave, if I come back, it'll be the original thing again. And I'll show you what that looks like. So if I click refresh, it will be back to the same one. But if I went into Zotero, and let's go back out. And I wanted to take reports out here. And look, all of this information right here is actually not what I need. So I could even take that out. This is how it would change it. And that's actually keeping better track of the long term, in the long term of your information. So now once I click refresh, reports is deleted and all of that miscellaneous information that was in there is also out. So that is how Zotero works in a nutshell. This is really helpful to keep you from having to go back and look up information that you forgot to collect in the first place. It helps you not have to remember what needs to be italicized and what doesn't. And it helps you not have to wait until the last minute to make a bibliography of 10 sources, because even though we're taught not to do the bibliography at the end, we still do that anyway. I do it all the time. So Zotero has actually helped me from wasting my time there at the end, or rushing, I should say, there at the end, trying to make a bibliography that I've been making this whole time in my text. So that's a summary of Zotero. Before I end, I want to show a couple more things. There are some exceptions to the rule, as with any life situation. Sometimes something happens with Zotero, and let's say you wanted something to be italicized and it wasn't, or you weren't able to add a group, or a DOI wasn't working, or something like that, right? It's technology. Things happen. There are lots of different help mechanisms built into Zotero's website. It's still logging me in, so I'm going to stop that. And I'm going to go back to the Zotero homepage. Under forums, this is a great thing that helps search for common issues. If I click on forums, you'll see all of these discussions that people are having. I can search for things. Like one time, my cursor was jumping around, and so I think I searched for cursor, and I found what I was looking for. The text cursor stops blinking or something like that. So this is a way that you can see how people have solved problems in the past, or you can just sort of see what is happening with upgrades, etc. Documentation is also a good tab. It goes to quick sort of questions like FAQs that people have. This is where I go when people ask me questions about Zotero using a Mac, because I don't have a Mac, and so a lot of the questions are kind of outside of my realm of expertise. And so this is where I would look for that. And I have, and you can see that it kind of breaks it down to some of the things that we did: adding files, making notes, making things within different styles. I believe it also recently has been integrated with Google Docs. So you can also use Zotero within Google Docs now. The other way to get help with Zotero is from asking a human person. And in your case, that is probably going to be me, Hillary. So if you have a question about Zotero and you maybe have looked at this, maybe not, maybe you would rather not start here, but with a person, feel free to email me anytime. My email address is hhrichardson@muw.edu. I thought I had it on this slide, but I did not. But you can also, here we go. You can also ask Athena, use our chat system, either text, tweet, chat, email, or schedule an appointment with me to do that. We also have made a guide. Let's see if I can copy this. On Zotero, kind of mimicking some of the things, but it includes mimicking some of the things that you just saw, but it includes screenshots. It includes links that are helpful. It highlights things. So this is also helpful as well. And I believe my email address is in here. Yeah, so if you needed to schedule an appointment or send me an email or give me a call, that is a wonderful option. And I love to help with Zotero because I might sound like sort of someone who's preaching the gospel when I'm talking about it, because it has done so many good things for me and my research. So I'm happy to, spread the word. So please give me a call or email if you need anything. And in the meantime, enjoy using Zotero. I hope it is as helpful to you as it has been to me.